This is Why You Merch, and today I have a Latin textbook called Latin for Children, and this is Primer A. It is one out of a series of books meant for teaching young children Latin. It says it's compatible with classical or ecclesiastical pronunciation. I haven't done a Latin video in such a long time. I know, like, I have long gaps doing that, but I have never heard of this textbook until now. I'm borrowing this book from my boyfriend. He's a Latin teacher, as am I, and he doesn't use this. I don't use this, so let's see what this has. You can see it's the same. I wonder when this was made. Oh wait, I think I know when this was made. It was made like in the 2000s. And you can use this for like homeschool and stuff like that. Like, that's what it's intended for. Is for well, my boyfriend thinks that this is supposed to be meant for like Catholic schools and stuff like that, since it's compatible with ecclesiastical pronunciation, and that's who's mainly using that. Although I did know a guy who, like, at their school, there's two Latin teachers, one that teaches classical and one that does ecclesiastical. So, yeah, it's an online friend. Anyway, this is very cool. It's telling you the table of contents. There's an intro. Here's a guide to classical pronunciation. There's a couple words you could try saying. There's ecclesiastical pronunciation. You can see the difference, and it's what I call squishy Latin. Yeah. So here's chapter 1. Let's look at the structure of each of the chapters. We have like a little Latin phrase. It's interesting they call this a chant, because when I hear a chant, I just think of like Gregorian chants or something like that. But that's not what it is. It's like those grammar charts that you say over and over again. It's amo amasamat, that thing. A janitor at the high school that I went to still remembers their first conjugation in Latin. I guess they took it when they were in school. And what are we supposed to do here? Wait a minute. Oh, okay, so there's a vocabulary section as well. Just briefly telling you about verbs and nouns. I love the art style. It's very like 2000s. I don't know, it just has that feeling. It doesn't feel super old like Cambridge Latin course, which I will be doing next. Like, that's the next Latin textbook I'll talk about. This is so weird to me. It's like Mad Libs. Like, it's in English and Latin. Very weird to me. That's like that. It's not like a long Latin passage. It's an English passage, and you're supposed to fill it with Latin words. Very weird. There's grammar. I wonder what age group this is for, because this doesn't seem like it's meant for like kindergarten or something like Minimus, because that is really for young children. This is for kids who can read a paragraph like this and not run away, which I think we are getting less and less of every year because of that skippity attention span, right? No, I'm kidding. A worksheet. You can like translate these verbs. I think they're probably from the vocabulary from earlier. You know, just some grammar exercises. There's some Latin derivatives here. You know, that's really easy though. That's really weird. Okay. Those didn't really look very clear, but they looked simple though. Sometimes the Romans would flood the Colosseum in order to hold boat battles. Don't try that in gym stopped doing that the year before I showed up, but it's not like I would have wanted to participate anyway because I can't swim. So there's a little quiz on the end. This does not look like enough practice to me, like all the other stuff they had there. Maybe this has a workbook. It should, because that does not look like enough practice for me, for you to have a quiz already. And I see there's little portions of the Latin Vulgate, which I don't think like we see that very often for classical Latin. Yeah, it's something like this again. It's another reading in English. I think we can just sort of flip through pretty quickly. More derivatives. I might actually use these little derivative thingies. Maybe. Or at least the formatting for it. Oh yeah, the Roman apartments. They were called insula, which is like the same word as island, because it's, if you think about it, it's sort of like its own little island surrounded by literally everything else. Everybody's on there or in the apartment, just like the same way an island is alone. All around is the ocean. I don't know what I'm saying. Look, it's the first line of the Aeneid. I really like the art style here. It kind of looks a little bit like Disney in some way. Now they're going to tell you about Latin dictionaries. Yes, it's important to know that very early, because if you're going to be looking up words and your vocabularies, like your lists, become longer and longer as you look up words, it's going to be necessary for you to use that. And it tells you so much aside from the meaning of the word. It tells you like the declension and conjugation of the word, its gender, number, all that stuff. Like, you will be able to do all of your Latin exercises once you figure out how to do, looking up words in a Latin dictionary. Finally, we're getting to declensions. So, what were they doing before? Were they just noun, verb? Sentences were just noun, verb, and that's it. Oh, they're just gonna tell you all of the cases right away. They're not gonna tell you. Oh, they do tell you what they mean. You know what? I think this is definitely for like kids that are a little bit older than maybe 3rd grade, maybe like at least 4th grade, because this seems quite complicated, like giving them all of this right at the beginning. And if this is supposed to be for you to be able to use this at home, yeah. Oh, look. Is this like a little quiz? You can quiz yourself. Oh my god, guys, what does it say now that you've learned 40 Latin words, 10 words in each chapter? It's time to review them to make sure you won't forget them. Did you forget your Latin words? Because I probably have. I hope you don't forget your Latin if you know it. It says remember to practice reciting these words for 5 to 10 minutes every day. Try to give the English words for each Latin word on the following list. For each word that you miss, put a check in the box next to that word. Then work really hard on those checked words until you have them mastered. If you want to, write the English words by the Latin words. Remember to chant or sing the words several times every day. Like, review this list at least once every day this week. Now, if you were me when I was in my freshman year, I wrote them on my legs. I wrote my declension charts on my legs. I wrote my prepositions with the accusative and ablative on my legs. I don't know why I did that. It was like in pen. some sort of technology would be cool. Some statues even, like, I just don't see anything like that. I feel like this kind of teaches it a little dead. Look, it's the Romance languages. I took Spanish for 3 years in middle school, and I took 3 semesters of Italian when I was in college. But if I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember anything. However, I did have to substitute one time, well, several times for a history class, and there were some students who didn't speak English, but they spoke Spanish, and they just talked to me in Spanish, but I'd respond back in English, and they were kind of amazed. I do like this art style. This is cool. Okay, so we do have some like paintings and things, but I want to see some real stuff. You know, this is talking about grammatical gender. That's right, everybody. If your teacher is a woman, make sure you use magistra. Just kidding. What? Oh, I like this quote from Second Clement. When they are silent, they shout. From Cicero. Here, use all the wonderful Latin skills you were learning as you play games, complete activities, and watch videos. Key to each chapter who says practice has to be painful. I love that this Latin book is like self-aware, that sometimes learning Latin does kind of bore the student, you know, because there's really so much you have to commit to memory, and because it's so old, you know, there's just some things that are really hard to connect to, rather than like a modern language, which would be somewhat easier, since if you think about it, it's like, how does somebody say something that they're doing right now, you know, in the modern day, in another language? It's pretty easy to come up with that, but they're just doing things completely different. They don't have a word for like phone or TV or car or anything like that. It's just so much harder to connect. I understand. But I guess that's what makes it interesting for me, because that's what makes it so different. A couple second declension nouns and some verbs here. I think they only do 10 at a time. There must be many chapters here. There's Roman coins. Very cool. Okay, so they're finally showing us some real things now. Let's see. Yeah, talking about second declension nouns again. I still think it's super weird that they're doing these stories in English with a random Latin word in the middle. I think at some point in this they should transition over to making sentences that are completely in Latin. I feel like I don't see very many just only Latin sentences, which, you know, I want to see some full sentences in Latin. This is kind of disappointing me a little. It's cute, but it's a little bit disappointing. Finally we get to the house. Wait a minute. Is it just me? Or did they use divide and conquer twice? Look at that. Guys, chapter 8 and chapter 9 have the same chapter maxim. Are they still talking about second declension neuters? Yeah, they are. Maybe that's why. Okay, I see that there's like a strict structure here. I might use something like this as like a quick something for derivatives, something that has to do with like professions, like I guess words that would be associated with different professions that come from Latin, like especially in law. They use a lot of Latin phrases. I had an online friend who went to Harvard for law. I wonder if he is a lawyer now, because that was a long time ago when I talked to him. Wow. Guys, look. It's another one of those vocab checks. And this is just a blank page of lines. It's like, it's a list of words that you still need to learn. I think this one is just really banking on you to memorize, but like, what do you do with the words that you memorized, you know? I would like to, oh, look, write 5 sentences. Oh, containing the derivatives. Oh man, I wanted Latin sentences, guys. That's like one of the things that I liked working with my students, was like seeing how they make sentences out of the words that they know, because that just makes it more than just them translating all the time. Although they will probably have to translate what they said so that we can see if it's a, correct sentence. Otherwise it won't make sense or something. Something can be also grammatically correct, but not like the meaning. Okay, let's review this. Very dry. You know what it's reminding me of? It's reminding me of Learn to Read Latin, which I did a video on many years ago, and that one was dry. Now, of course, that is meant for older people, probably high school or college. I think we can probably skip ahead. Oh, look, it's Rene Descartes with Cogito ergo sum. That guy who was like, are my hands really my hands? That's all I remember from my philosophy class. Guys, that's so bad that that's all I remember. It's kind of an inside joke with my friends. Whenever we feel like jokingly existential, I just think of that guy. I also made him like a Tomodachi Life character. Oh look, it's the constellations. Yes, did you know that the constellation names are in Latin? I am a Libra, which means the scales. Justice, goddess, has the scales. Guys, I don't really believe in like astrology. I just sort of see it in the way that I see fortune cookies. Sorry if that's a hot take, but I just see it as like something fun. Oh, look, finally we got to Winnie Weedy Wiki. Right there. If this was ecclesiastical Latin, you would say Veni Vidi Vici. Squishy. Yeah. This is so dry. Oh my god, the chants. Here I go. Guys, do you remember any Latin mnemonics? Like any of those phrases that would help you remember a grammar topic in Latin? What is it? What's that thing that like one of my Latin teachers said about the fourth declension? It was like Gus had a goose with gooey gum goo or something like that, and like that really did help me remember the fourth declension endings. Art is long, life is brief. From Seneca. just gonna go forward. They really have a structure here. I'm just wondering, when do you actually get to long portions of Latin, or at least just only Latin sentences? This is really disappointing me. Guys, you know what? Maybe that's in the second book, because there is like a primer B. You know? Are they talking about Virgil already? Okay, most common Roman dinner was a porridge made from wheat. For fancy meals, the main course could feature as many as 7 dishes. Possible dishes included oysters, eels, snails, duck, and peacock. Dessert was often honey cakes with fruit and nuts. Yes, I had to make some Roman food for my classes, and that is something they will never forget because some of them thought it was gross. No, I didn't bring them any like fish or meat because some kids are vegetarian and they have also religious dietary restrictions and food safety concerns. You don't want to give them like raw or undercooked meat and fish. Romance languages again. They're talking about it again. I'm sure this has changed by now. This number here, the amount of speakers. This is so dull. It's dry. Look. Sentences finally. Okay. I feel like if I just skip through, we're not gonna miss anything major. Please tell me that there's at least a paragraph or something. Please. Finally. Look, guys. An end of book review. Let's see, can I read these and translate them? Why not? Let's do it. Sure, let's go with this first section here. Amo patriam, which is I love the country. Or you can say I love my country, but meam is not in there. Paruum oppidum video, which is I see a little town. Yeah. Marcus patriam magnum amabit. Marcus will love the great country. What a weird sentence. Pueri monumentum magnum videbunt, which is like the boys will see a great monument. Patriam paruam amabas, you will love a small country. What a weird sentence. Marcus saxum magnum videbat. Marcus will see a great rock. Oh my god, it's like when my uncle brought my parents to Plymouth Rock and they were like, that's it. It's a rock. And they thought it was gonna be a mountain, like, because you know some mountains are called something rock sometimes. They thought it was a mountain. It really was just literally a rock. And that's what this is reminding me of. Okay. Let's do the bottom ones. Amigos, wogo, I call friends. Folium magnum habeo, I have a big leaf. Marcus servos vocabit, Marcus will call the slaves. Epistulam paruam abibitis, which is like you all will have a small letter. That is so weird. Julia amicas vocabat, Julia will call her friends, female friends, because amicas. And then Julia epistulam longam abebat, Julia will have a long letter. Weird sentences. I think that's weird. How about let's do something fill in any blanks as you make progress on your journey through Latin. That is so cute. Why wasn't this here at the beginning? You know what? Put that on the units. Like, put that at the beginning of the unit so that you know what you're going to learn with each chapter. Because I think it's great to tell the kids, tell the students what you're going to be learning about. Then you do the thing, you know, whatever it is that you are learning about, you're practicing and all that. And then at the end, you check, did we learn that thing? So, this will be great at the beginning of the chapter. Shouldn't be hidden away at the end. So that you can remember this stuff at the end of the year or something like that. Okay, let's go through it. I know what a verb is. A verb is a word that, well, I don't say it like that. I usually say a verb is an action or a state of being. Then we have, I know what conjugation is. What is that? It's a group of verbs that changes in the same pattern. I know how to conjugate a verb. How do I do it? To conjugate, I list a verb with all of its, I'm assuming they mean like principal parts and its endings, things like that. I know that verbs have 4 principal parts and why they are called principal parts. Well, yes, they have 4. Okay. And, well, it doesn't really matter why they're called principal parts. You just gotta know that there's 4 of them for most verbs. And that's where you can figure out the stems. So that if you need to change them for whatever tense, whatever voice, whatever, any of that stuff, that's where you get those stems from, those 4 principal parts, because it's different for every verb. I have memorized the chapter 1 and 2 maxim. Oh, and I didn't do that. I don't think that's necessary here. I know what a derivative is. That's a word we get from another language, but not like a loan word. Usually something like a word in Spanish that we get from Latin, or a word in English that we get from Latin. I know what present tense endings are. They are OST, mostis, NT. I know what the number of a verb is. It's how many people are doing it. I know what the person of a verb is. It's who's doing it. I know how to find the stem of a verb. You look at the principal parts. I know what a noun is. A noun is a word that names a person, place, or thing. I know how to decline a noun. To decline a noun, I list it with all of its. It's principal parts, I guess. No, they don't have principal parts. I know it's like, you know, it's the noun itself, the genitive form, and then the grammatical gender. Yeah. Here, I know that nouns have number and gender. The options for gender are feminine, masculine, and neuter. I can translate errare humanum est, which is like to err is human, to make a mistake is human. Although some AIs are making mistakes now too, so. I know the 5 options for a noun's case. 5. What do they mean by 5 options? Oh, they mean the cases. There's 7 cases though. I don't think they talked about vocative and locative. I know why I have memorized the sentence never give Davis any apples. That's supposed to be nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative. I have mastered the vocabulary for Unit 1. Well, I'm sure if you asked me what those words meant, I'd be able to tell you. I am highly confident. Congratulations, I know how to do the first unit. Sure, let's do the last unit here. I don't feel like doing it. That was quite a bit. Reference charts. You know what? Just look in the back for answers. Look at that. Glossary by chapter. Oh. They tell you what words you're learning in the chapters. I assume these are like high frequency words you're gonna see all the time in actual Latin passages, like written by the Romans. So maybe that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to teach you all the high frequency words, but I still think a criticism of mine here would be it needs more practice with actual Latin sentences. Or maybe, like, even if they're not constructed sentences, they should be ones that use it. So